Imagine a mid-sized city split right down the middle by a river. On one side, you have factory workers, teachers, and small shop owners. On the other side sit the main hospitals, the central markets, and the best schools. Connecting these two halves is a single, aging steel bridge. On an ordinary Tuesday morning, the bridge was packed with the usual commuter traffic. Cars were inching along, parents were walking their kids to school, and a yellow school bus was making its slow way across. Everyone took the steel beneath them for granted. Then, without any warning, the center span gave out entirely. 43 people went down with the steel into the river below. The most confusing part of this disaster is what you find when you look at the city's official records. According to the government's own paperwork, that bridge was perfectly sound. This diagram shows the strange contradiction of the bridge. On the left, we see a spotless bureaucratic checklist. Over the past 10 years, engineers have flawed the structure for renovation 3 separate times. Each time, the funding was fully approved. Safety inspections were signed off. But on the right, looking at the actual physical condition, the center section was in critical failure. To understand how a bridge with a flawless record falls into a river, we have to look past the official signatures and follow the path of the money itself. To understand what caused the collapse, we have to look away from the physical wreckage and track the path of those approved renovation funds, starting from the exact moment the money left the city treasury. This is the total budget. Half vanishes into an inflated contract given to a city official's relative. The rest leaks as bribes to inspectors, ignoring substandard materials. Funding that reaches the site barely fills 10% of required costs, leaving nothing for safe steel. The people in this chain didn't set out to drop a school bus into a river. They simply took standard bureaucratic cuts. A favor here, a percentage there. Corruption is quiet. It operates as a mathematical erosion, where minor, invisible thefts inevitably guarantee a physical collapse. When emergency crews pulled the survivors from the water, they rushed them across the river to the city's main public hospital. Inside, doctors were trying to save lives using dangerously outdated medical machinery. Wards built to hold 40 patients were crammed with 60. Just like the bridge, official city records showed this hospital was fully funded, modernized, and operating smoothly. The earmarked health budgets had followed the exact same pattern of erosion. Millions of dollars meant for critical care had been quietly funneled into shell companies and inflated equipment contracts long before reaching the pharmacy shelves. The exact same bureaucratic rot that brought the bridge down had already dismantled the safety net meant to catch the victims. The aftermath played out in a familiar rhythm. The news cameras arrived, then the investigators, followed by a formal inquiry, and months later, a thick disaster report. Several mid-level city officials faced formal charges, but the top decision-makers, the ones who approved the original contracts and buried the early warning reports, remained protected by their networks of influence. The investigation confirmed that the collapse wasn't a sudden mechanical failure. It was the final result of years of falsified safety reports and the systematic diversion of construction funds into private accounts. In the wake of the report, public confidence collapsed alongside the steel. Citizens stopped believing that safety inspections meant anything. They stopped trusting that official budget announcements reflected where their tax dollars actually went. This creates a vacuum in the city. When citizens can no longer trust a safety report or a budget plan, every new public project is viewed through the lens of the bridge that fell, making it harder for the community to cooperate on even the most basic services. The city eventually rebuilt the bridge. They did it under strict, independent oversight and intense transparency, creating a heavy, functional crossing. But that new bridge doesn't stand as a symbol of progress. It stands as a grim monument to the generational damage left behind when those entrusted to protect a community use their power to quietly protect themselves.